So I've been busy this last month. First, I started interviewing for ML engineering jobs because I've never had one before and I'd like to work with people who know more about this than me.
Hey, I'm Will. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you. I've watched your talks.
I'm trying to spend more time with friends, which is hard because everything's closed in Toronto except for the children's skating rinks, and I'm a fake Canadian who never learned how to skate. I've been negotiating with potential buyers for my SaaS business, 72D server hosting.
This game server business, it's something I started a few years ago. So at that time, I just left my software engineering job. And I was doing some contracting at the time, but I wanted to build a product business. So I had a couple goals in mind. First, because I mainly had a game development background, so I wanted to do something related to games. And I also wanted to build a business with a relatively battle-tested business model because at the time I had never built like a sustainable product business before, and so I didn't want to do anything too risky.
And most importantly, I started writing an AI for Super Meat Boy to test some libraries I might use for a new startup I'm working on. I figured out what I needed to know, so I'm not going to bother finishing the Meat Boy AI, I'm just going to start building the actual product. Everything I'm working on is still in progress, which is what I was expecting, except I was hoping that I'd have a job by now since I interviewed at 4 companies. But to be fair, I haven't prepared much, and on bad days, I'm kind of awkward even when I'm just introducing myself.
Yeah. So the last year, most of my income has been from YouTube, but before that, I basically just worked on one small software business after another, like non-stop, since senior year of high school, which was 8 years ago. And I worked in many different domains. Like I started in mobile games. I did server hosting too. Basically, after just building many of these small businesses, the main thing that's changed is that I used to always be jumping on trends and just trying to build stuff that I thought would make a lot of money. But now, like I'm older and I'd rather just work on stuff that I personally find fun and interesting. But as far as my personal goals right now, I really want to help move the field forward because at least from my experience of building lots of these small ML projects and also just reading a lot of papers, I just get the sense that we're still in the very early stages and it just feels like nobody really knows what they're doing. So I'm just trying to explore different opportunities and
When I started doing these interviews, I genuinely wanted a job, but the funny thing is that when they ask me why I want to work for their company, it's hard for me to come up with a good reason because I actually really like working for myself, so I end up answering these kind of questions very generically.
well, there's two things that really stand out to me about it. First of all, after I use the product, I mean, I definitely think this is going to be huge. Like, I really like the product personally. And then after I did some digging about your company, I'm very impressed by the background of a lot of the people on your team, including yourself, of course. And so I feel like I could learn a lot from you guys. And so that's why I applied.
I liked all 4 companies I interviewed at, but at the same time, there's a lot of other stuff I want to do, so for now, I've stopped applying to jobs. My favorite part about these interviews were actually the coding portions, which were either take-home tasks, lead code questions, or ML systems design questions. I've never interviewed for ML jobs before and I didn't prepare much, so seeing the different kinds of questions that companies ask was the most useful takeaway in case I want to interview more in the future or hire for my own company. Good news is that selling 72D server hosting has been going much more smoothly than my job interviews. I've had several offers, so I'm just waiting for the right one. I don't prepare for my calls with buyers because I already know my business and the financials and customer data speaks for itself. Also, I don't do any work to find buyers because I'm working with an M&A firm that does that for me. So all I do is answer emails and take calls, and I'm usually just answering the same questions again and again. For example, all the buyers want to expand it to different games, so they always ask how much work does this take and what does it involve.
I would estimate that somebody who is familiar with web development and can commit like full time to it should be able to get it up and running in a few weeks. I mean, for me, it took me a few months to get this working, but then I wasn't that good at web development when I started, and also I didn't even play 7 Days to Die. So I think somebody who knows what they're doing could set it up in a few weeks. for like custom configuration. But then on top of that, right, like you want to think about what kind of features you can add that would enhance the gameplay experience. And that, I would say that's more about just grinding the game yourself and sort of knowing what the players want, as opposed to knowing about how the servers work and like how coding works.
I'll make an update video after I close the deal, but in the meantime, I'll be busy programming, designing, and making content using my new PC. I bought most of the parts in November, but the new Nvidia GPUs were all out of stock, so that's why I couldn't start streaming when I announced my Twitch last month. This is the first PC I ever built, and I wanted a good GPU for ML and streaming, so I went with the RTX 3080. I haven't figured out my streaming schedule or content yet, but for now, I'll just be playing some Valorant whenever I feel like it.
Spike planted. My ult's ready.
Get out of my way!
Who trained you?
Shit, fuck. What the fuck? What the heck? What?
Switching sides.
If you're watching this video when it comes out, I'll be live for the rest of the day, so come hang out if you want, or don't. It's up to you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.